Welcome back to the Wizards of Amazon podcast, your weekly blueprint for explosive success. I'm Carlos Alvarez, full-time successful Amazon seller and organizer of the largest Amazon seller meetup group in the world. Let's do this. Welcome to the Wizards of Amazon podcast, where we cover all things private label. My name is Carlos Alvarez, and I'll be your host for the show. And in today's episode, I have a very close friend, leadership team in the Amazon seller meetup group, brother from another mother. What's up, Gabe? Gabe Cossio.
Pleasure to be here. Finally.
Right? I reached out to you in the very beginning, trying to get you in like the first few episodes, and we're now making it happen. Episode, looks like 33 this is going to be.
It's all on me. You definitely pushed me to be here. Life has many things occurring, so we finally got around to doing it.
Gabe, when we first met, for people that don't know this, and I probably can't even get into all the details on a podcast, it was pretty epic. But I think we met a day or two, or maybe a week before the group was going to go on an Amazon product China sourcing trip. And you came to the group, I believe. You just happened to have plans already. Like your entire trip was planned out. Like you were going solo, right?
Yep.
So when you saw that there was a group of people going, obviously it made sense. We all connect. We all go. What I never asked you this. Like, what was going on in your head then? Like you had this entire trip plan. And I know that when we went, we stayed together the whole time. Like we hung out, we forged an amazing relationship, and we have some stories that are not even podcast approved. Like what was going on in your head at that time?
I remember vividly because obviously it was my journey up until that moment. I didn't have the community. It was probably 3, 4, or 5 weeks before the actual trip. We might have met maybe 2 times at the meetups before the actual trip. And at that point in my life, I had done private label probably for over 10 years. And I was going back to China to try and find new sources, new factories. I hadn't been there in like 4 years, so I was kind of restarting it. In the meantime, I had a business. I had a restaurant. I had opened the restaurant from scratch. 5 years after that endeavor, I called it quits because it was a slave job. It weighed heavily on my personal life, and I just decided to sell off my assets, sell off the actual identity of the place, and move on and get back into e-commerce. And so, I was going to China to source, to find new factories, new suppliers, to rebuild what I had before in my eBay days, build and forge new relationships. And I remember sitting at a computer one day. 2 times I can remember sitting at a computer and just having a life-altering moment. When I was 17 years old, like at 3 or 4 in the morning, I was laying in my bed with my laptop, and I was sourcing, and I came across a golden nugget, and I'll never forget it. It changed my life. It started my e-commerce journey when I was 17. And then again, right before that China trip, a few weeks before, I typed in Facebook, Amazon, Miami, and this big ugly mug showed up on my screen. I'll never forget. And Carlos Alvarez entered my life at that point. And I went to the meetup, and I met a whole bunch of people that were going to China. And I was like, "Hey, I'm going to China. I already got my visa, my flight, my hotel before I started staying at Airbnbs." And we bonded, man, and it was great. It's been great ever since. I'm so fortunate to have found the community. It's led me to find other communities and meet tons of people all around the world. First in the States, and then just traveling the world and meeting people, and it's been memorable to say the least.
Absolutely, that was I think one of the earlier trips, or the first trip that we made official, that this was going to now be a thing in the meetup group, where we were going to go on these China group sourcing trips. So I admit I was like very nervous around that time. I've been sourcing in China forever, but going by yourself and being willing to sleep on a tent on the side of the road and taking a group is 2 totally different types of responsibility. So I was nervous, and I didn't get a chance to really like bond with you or forge that relationship with you while we were still in Miami. And I recall a little confession. I don't even know if I've shared this with you. I recall walking the halls of the Canton Fair and being just completely overwhelmed with trying to be the complete answer for everything that everybody needed. And there were several people in the group that, they were new. This is, as a matter of fact, they'd never sourced a PL product, and they were in the middle of the Canton Fair in China. And you were able to get a few people, and you were helping them, and you were giving them different PL strategies that they could use to source products. And my initial reaction to me was like, oh, wow, we got somebody poaching in the group, because it happens. Mm-hmm. But no, years later, and even well before that trip ended, I just knew that that's how you are. Like, you have, at this point, you've touched a little bit on your backstory, but you have 20 years accumulated or more of e-commerce experience, probably even more just business. You just love helping people. You have no hidden agenda. And I clearly can say that, the Meetup group, Wizards of Amazon, South Florida FBA Amazon sellers, would not be as amazing as it is if you weren't part of it, and all the help you've provided there. Can you, anything you haven't touched on, like in your background experience, 20 years e-commerce experience, can you share a little bit about that for the people that don't know you?
Sure. I'll share a little bit that I've actually never really shared with anybody.
Love it.
I grew up in a single parent household. I was raised by my mother and my grandmother. And my mother's a lifelong entrepreneur, workaholic. I can say that those things I've gotten from her for sure, those traits. Till this day, she works 16 hours a day. That's what she loves. She lives for her business and her family. And I picked it up from her. I was a little kid that grew up, under a table at a trade show, seeing these people talk to each other, trying to do business on an international level. People flying in from Italy and Spain to Vegas and New York and trying to do business. And then in turn, my mother flying to Spain and even going to China as well, and trying to put together, something that would work. And that was, 30 years ago, when the internet did not exist. People placed phone calls and faxes and hoped to meet at this place at that time and do business. And so I grew up in that. And I grew up in the shoe trade, in clothes trade, in toys, and seeing a lot of these things develop. And so that infrastructure really made me comfortable when I got to the space to do it on my own, to get into PL without any worries, knowing that the money that I invested, I knew what it took to actually sell in a brick and mortar. So, hell, I could definitely sell the product online, and at a value. So, yeah, that's a little bit about me and the background. There's tons of other things that I could talk about that I've done in the past, from garage sales all the way to, selling straight to big businesses, pallets of orders. It's been quite the journey, man. I love it till this day. I could talk Ecomm, Amazon, eBay all day long. And so, yeah, hopefully this is the first of many podcasts where we cover many topics.
I most definitely will. And one of the episodes that we've not ever covered on the podcast is the actual Meetup group. And there's a ton of topics that we were considering to do for this episode, but I think this is the perfect time to actually talk about the Meetup group, talk about why it's of value, why people should join, the video vault, the activities that we have that are directly and indirectly related to it. And you do a lot in the group. And I feel like we're almost bad if we don't mention Alexis Russo. But I mean, the three of us, we do a lot in the group. Like, a lot of people just think everything just happens. There's a lot of stuff on the background. And you, in addition to being a PL seller that we're referencing, you and I have a lot in common that we're just business people. Like, Amazon is one of the channels that we maximize, and it's an amazing channel. But we both do wholesale. We've both done arbitrage. We both have similar beginnings with garage sales and auctions and just everything, just grinding. But in the Meetup group, in addition to being on the leadership team, you started going on that first China trip with the group to actually running it. Like, you're the guy. You're the Wizard of China now. I mean, you're the guy that coordinates these trips, and we have large followings that go on them. It's a big deal, and you run it. You also put together the absolutely amazing the retail arbitrage field trips for some of those newer sellers that are beginning with arbitrage, and you take an army to these malls and these outlets and different spots that you do the research on to help them source. I think we've been kicked out of a few, right?
Yeah. Let's talk about China first, because they're both super exciting topics for me. But China specifically, the possibilities are so endless over there. And the amount of business that China and the US do together is just enormous, And so to not take advantage of that with all of the tools that we have at our disposal is really just selling yourself short. And so from the first time that we went as a group and seeing 50, 60 people from all around the world follow you around and ask for their hand to be held, through this process, really showed me the possibilities for the group and for the trip. And so I was hooked. I geeked out being able to walk the halls with you. I remember the day that I kind of helped a little bit more was the day that you were sick, and you had to call it. You were only there for 2 hours or something. You had to go back to the hotel, and just seeing the expression on people's faces when you would walk them around, all these days and tell them, listen, look for this, look for that. Don't say this, don't say that. Go home tonight and rest and get your ducks in order so that tomorrow when you come back, you're a little bit more put together and ready to talk to these people. And it was just addicting. I'll be honest with you. I had done it always on my own, but you didn't know if what you were doing was right or wrong until you got the results 3 months later when you were at home and your shipments arrived, and then being able to experience it with you and seeing other people do it and their results, again, it was just addicting. And so I was hooked. And thankfully, you and your wife decided to have some kids, and so passed that along to me. And the relationship that you and me have made it very, very easy to take our friends and the new friends that have joined the community on the trip to China. We still do, all the framework that you laid down. We still do those things, and hopefully, by next year or in a year and a half or two, you're going on those trips again with us, and we're expanding to going to India, Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, Canada, Philippines. All these places in the world where you can source from, where you can grow your business, even if you're not sourcing, whether you're looking for VAs or building a business relationship of some sort. The world is more connected now than ever. COVID has proven that because everybody has had to connect digitally. And man, I'm just super excited about the future, and I hope to be able to grab onto it and take my piece of the pie.
Absolutely, brother. What's the rundown of the trip for people listening to this that have never been? And I'm assuming the easiest way for somebody to connect with you and us on this trip is going to be via Telegram. We have a Facebook group, but it's a little wild west. It's not really upkept specific for the China trip. That's something I guess that we could work on. We could work on later, but we have a Telegram chat that's specific to the China group. So obviously the runway before takeoff on a China trip, there's a lot that you want to do. You want to cover regarding apps and visas and, just preparation period. So you maximize your trip. So that's something that's covered in the group. Best way for someone to get there, I'm assuming, would be to go to amazongroupchat.com and join our hub, like our main Telegram chat. And then from there, just say, tag Gabe or Paid by Amazon or me, and we can get you into the sub, if you will, Telegram chat. It's probably the best way to go about doing it, right?
Yeah, it's a lot easier now that we have the website. It's just one place to go to, and you'll find the information, and then you can find your way into the Telegram chat that way. I know I'm personally part of like 25 different Telegram chats, and it gets overwhelming. But the China one is one that I have pinned to the top because of so much interest in it. So repeat the website so that they can go to it again.
Yeah, amazongroupchat.com. It's free. It's a Telegram channel. It's got the 2 steps, how to get in, whether you have the Telegram app already installed or not. Pretty simple. So yeah, check it out, amazongroupchat.com. The China trip, for the people that go, what's your take on how much somebody should have budgeted to go on the China trip? And does somebody have to go on a China trip to succeed at PL?
Not at all. You can definitely lay the framework and start in the actual industry and build your own private labels and create a brand without ever going to China. Like I said, the world is more digitally connected now than ever, so you can definitely do it. Just ask around for a little bit of help for people who have done it before, and you'll be fine. Common sense will lead you to not get scammed and to take a little bit at a time and grow little by little. As far as the China trip, I wanted to really point out the certain things, and I'll give you that budget number at the end. I was an athlete growing up. I traveled a lot of travel teams, going around the country, everybody dressed the same, eating at the same time, going to bed at the same time, curfews, all of these things. And so that traveling as a group thing to me is old news. And I loved it. I loved growing up and the camaraderie, being able to sit at a table together at night and talk about what you did that day, what you improve upon, going to sleep early in order to get up and crush the next day. And so transitioning to the China trip, it's been super similar, and people dive into it. They get there and they're away from their family for 2 or 3 weeks. They're disconnected from all of the responsibilities they had at home because they set everything up before they left. They're there for vacation as much as business, really. They really need to disconnect. And so we try to really to touch those points to make sure that we do some sort of leisure activities, that we have their camaraderie by eating dinner together, meeting up and talking during breakfast before we get on the bus or catch cabs to go to the fair. We'll buy tickets to go see a show. We'll meet to go eat dinner together at a specific mall. It's just super enjoyable being able to share in the experience together and then getting to the fair and deciding whether you want to walk the halls together or you want to do it alone. And whether you're a private person, private business person that you don't want to share your tips and tricks with people, or you do, and you want to walk with someone to a certain booth and see how they approach the supplier or how you approach the supplier. It's really just a huge learning experience. And once you're a veteran, like I go there and I still learn to this day. It's great. I love it, and I totally recommend it. As far as money and budget, if you're going for 2 weeks, I would tell you that you could get away doing it full from top to bottom, from the moment that you start booking things here to the day you return on a $2,000 budget.
So to be clear, I'm sorry that we were talking about plane and roof over your head.
Yes, like that's my budget that I usually go with. Today I stay in an Airbnb. I stay with the same host. He's him and his wife, and now their son have become friends of mine. I talk to them year round, and whenever I go, I take them gifts, and so it's more of a friendship rather than an Airbnb. I don't even look at it like that anymore. But yeah, that's what I think that people should have in mind. $2K.
Yeah, and I know regarding the hotel last time everybody went, there was one hotel I always went to time and time again. Apparently, it's no longer like the best fit, and that was the Aloft, Guangzhou University Park. But apparently, Tom, I don't know if you spoke to Tom. Tom found something across the street, literally almost from the Canton Fair. Obviously a little more expensive than Airbnb, but less than Guangzhou University Park, and you had your own kitchen inside your room.
Yeah, so they're popping out more of the Airbnb style, and they're converting the buildings to hotels. It's happening all around the world. I'm seeing it here in Miami, where I'm based, that these buildings, they look like a hotel, but they're actually live-in, and they have things in the building like a coffee house. They'll have a dry cleaning, all these amenities. I don't know what that business model is called, but I'm seeing it pop up a lot more.
Yeah, I can only imagine how convenient that would be. Is across the street from I've never lived that close. Across the street from the Canton Fair, and you can cook your own food really quick. Food's been a pain point for me. I get sick every time I go, but that would be fantastic.
China is super cities, and so they build up rather than build outwards. Mm-hmm. And so people don't really have yards over there. They all live in these huge high-rise buildings. So having those type of that setup is really, really cool. Moving closer to the Canton Fair, everything's going to be super expensive right around there. So if Tom, our buddy Tom Mays, if he found a deal, for sure, let's look into it and see what we can do.
Awesome, brother. And it's kind of looking like, where are we? Like in May, this is going to release early June, that it would already be time where we would be talking about planning for October Canton Fair. Are we thinking more April now, or we're doing our brainstorming now live on a podcast? But
I mean, I don't think that many people are going to want to go to this next one, and so probably the one that we're shooting for is for a whole group effort. Is that next one after? So it'll be April, which is crazy because we just passed April. But I'm excited. I can't wait to go back. I just have to feel safe in going. Super excited, man. I'm still talking to them. Obviously, we're doing business, and they want us to go back over there, but they understand, that we're very worried. We're like on a 2-month delay. compared to what they're going through over there in that side of the world. And Europe is somewhere in the middle. And so we still need to pass those phases.
Definitely, man. Yeah, definitely safety first. To the Meetup group, one cool thing that we've been forced to discover is virtual community. So our Meetup group, our strength is in that really close bond and relationship that we have from each other. Not taking anything away from a Facebook group, but trying to compare a Facebook group to our Meetup group there's no comparison. It's unparalleled, the power of our Meetup group or any other Meetup group that's really run that way. So one cool thing I've discovered is that because we have that base, that people that are finding us and taking advantage of the fact that we're virtual now, while, until things are safe, until we all feel like this is safe, that community is growing stronger. So
the connectivity that we've created now because of COVID has been amazing. There's 3 or 4 people from India jumping into the meetups all the time whenever we go live on Saturdays. There's people
4 a.m. and it's 4 a.m. for them.
When we first started the whole quarantine thing here, I did like 5 random late night Zooms. Yep. And there were 10, 20 people on there just because that's the only time that they actually have when they put their kids to bed or when their spouse goes to bed, and they can actually talk for a little while and they have these burning questions. They don't know where to ask them. And being able to talk to somebody live in the moment to get, a first person view of it is amazing for those people. So again, what you're bringing up, the connectivity that COVID has really pushed us to create has connected us in a whole different way. And so going forward, I think that it's very, very positive for us to to keep one virtual meeting, if not a week, at least a month. For sure.
I'm thinking to begin with at least 2 per month. So maybe like an every other week thing, so that we can get our bearings, because transitioning back to in-person meetups, that's going to take some getting used to again. And while we work the kinks out and more of the tech side of it, it'll be at least twice a month. And I'm excited for that, because prior to this, while I wish everyone in the world could show up to our local events, we know that's not possible. But now, there's no boundaries. Like, so if you want to participate in one of our events, right now we're doing, I think, 18 events per month on Zoom. But even afterwards, we'll have a minimum of 2. Plus, you can access the recordings, which is not the same as being involved live in the event, but you still can get all the value and all the nuggets that we forced out of the speaker.
Listen, the recordings is something in itself completely different. It's pause, take notes, go back, listen to it again. The mannerisms of the way the person said it, the nuances you can pick up just in the way that someone is trying to explain it to you is something that you'll never get through text or on a screen, reading something on your own. And so that's like what the advantage of YouTube is, being able to watch a video and have somebody explain it to you. The video archive that we've put together and is growing and getting only better has been amazing. People are constantly asking about it. It's so cheap for the amount of value that you get, that the dollar amount that it represents to gain access is really just, it's nothing. It's secondary to what you get.
I believe now we're at $20 a month. I think it breaks down to 75 cents a video.
I'm going to throw you under the bus here. I pushed you for over a year to do this, and I'm ecstatic, man. The day that you released it, I messaged everybody in our group, almost everybody, and I told them, listen, message Carlos either in the group or personally and thank him and tell him how awesome this is. I remember personally copying and pasting those messages to everybody and telling him, hey, reach out and thank him, because it's going to be amazing for our group.
Yeah, I needed it too. I think you, Osme, and 1 or 2 others were on me about it. You especially, and I was hesitant. I was like, come on, and no, it's done amazing. It's done amazing for growth in other people. It's done amazing to offset, obviously, a lot of the costs that are associated with something. This isn't a once a month meetup. We do it at scale.
That's the main reason you didn't want to do it, because of the charging people. And that's a testament to you and you wanting to keep everything as free as possible. And I remember telling you, listen, that little bit of money is going to help for something. And it's so small a sum. Rather than giving it away for free, you create some sort of gate. And the people are happily paying it. Happily.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's wrap that up. And I want to get into the like another section of this because I mean, there's so many things we could potentially cover with you. Is to access the Meetup group. One of the easiest ways, if you're listening to this, would be to text the word. Just send a text the word Amazon to 69922. If that seems too complicated, hopefully not. Just literally put the word Amazon in your message section, and the number you send it to is 69922. That'll send you the link to all of our stuff. Another easy way that you can do that is to join the Wizards of Amazon Facebook group or at Wizards of Amazon on Instagram, or our Telegram group, like we mentioned earlier, which is amazongroupchat.com. Those are the easiest ways to find it. I believe right now it's $20 a month. 100% worth the value. And I'm positive now that I'm actually seeing the value in the different things that we want to add, like office hours and unique Zoom sessions and all of that it'll go up. So take advantage of it now and lock it in. But before letting you run away and get on with your day, Gabe, what do you think about this COVID-19 thing, impact on businesses? Like what do you think businesses, Amazon businesses specifically, are getting wrong right now?
Just to jump right in, starting from like the retail arbitrage, online arbitrage sellers, those people are focusing way too much on what's necessary right now and trying to project what's going to be necessary in 2 to 4 weeks, which to their fault, or I guess just it's part of what they're doing. That's how they live. They're constantly on that 2 to 6 week schedule, trying to find what's next, what's coming, and all that, play into the seasonality, which will serve them excellent once they reach wholesale and private label, understanding seasonality. Unfortunately, for right now, they're living in a very short bubble, time bubble. And so if that ever pops, it'll be a sad day for their business. What they should instead be doing is noticing that now, because of COVID, a lot of products are becoming staples when they weren't before. And a lot of products are becoming essential because people just can't find them, and they're going to be around for a long time. COVID is not something that's going to impact us for 3 to 6 months. It's something that's going to impact us for 18 to 36 months. And if you're looking at it in that scale, you're more likely to make decisions that impact your business for the better in the long term. Set up a wholesaler that open an account with a wholesaler that you're going to be able to source for the next 3 years. Because that's what's going to cement your business sticking around and not being a fly by night. Again, an RA, OA type of sourcing situation where you source it for 2 weeks, sell it for 8 weeks, and then the product's gone and you never sell that product again. I really talk to a lot of RA and OA sellers that I tell them you need to put a plan together. Kind of like, anybody in their daily life puts together a 5-year plan, 1-year plan, 6-month plan, month plan, all those things. You need to do those same things to scale past RA and OA and into wholesale and eventually private label, if that's your goal. If you're happy doing RA and OA and it's a side hustle, then try and schedule out as much as you can. But I respect what you're trying to do. Just make some money on the side. But if you're trying to scale to a different level, your mindset has to progress and you need to evolve.
What about any changes, if any, do you feel like you're going to make in the PL side of your business because of this pandemic? I mean, are you thinking a pandemic? We got to plan this because we might be looking at a pandemic every year. Is this the one we see in our lifetime? Like, how did this play out for you?
So I fully expect there to be another pandemic within the next 10 years. Super sad to say. I hope I'm extremely wrong. But the impact that this pandemic had on us just showed all of the weaknesses that we have as a species, to be honest with you. All the countries around the world, how much farther we need to go to work together better to kind of stop anything like this happening again. I pray that this doesn't happen again. Unfortunately, I do think that it is going to happen again. How has this impacted me for the future as far as private label and wholesale and all the other models? I would think that you would want to stay away from anything that reminds you of COVID or reminds you of something that could affect your health. If you're in those spaces, unfortunately, you have to live and die with those type of things. Whatever's happening in the health space, that's what you're selling. But if you're not, if you're selling toys, outdoor equipment, anything sports related, kitchen, all these things, you would want to stay away from, people touching their face. You would want to stay away from, someone passing a cup to another person. These type of references that might have to do with cleanliness, getting sick, passing germs, any of those things. You would want to stay away from those and kind of just focus on cleanliness, good hygiene, just the type of things that would influence someone to buy a product in order to get to be better and to be cleaner. And yeah.
Awesome, man. I want to be respectful of your time. This is turning into a long one. Before letting you go, if you can share how best ways that someone can reach out to you to follow up on anything you said on this podcast or to get some of their questions answered.
Sure. So my main platform is Instagram, and you can find me on there at Paid by Amazon. I only check in on Facebook when you guys actually tag me to go in there. I'm not really a Facebook aficionado, but on Telegram, in our Telegram chat, you can definitely tag me or find me on Instagram. And as far as being respectful of time, I blocked off 6 hours for you. So I'm good to go.
I have one more ambush question, and that is, what's your favorite book that you've ever read or consumed, listened to, anything? Like, what's your favorite book and why?
So a book that I always come back to is The Art of War, just because there's so many things that
Sun Tzu, right?
Yeah, that reference into daily life. It's a book really where you read a sentence and you have to see how that sentence pertains to you. You have to, develop the thought. So for sure,
I think anybody that knows you, that's not a surprise that The Art of War is your book. Yeah, that's an amazing book. It's a classic, extremely powerful. I get what you're saying. Gabe, there's no doubt that you're going to be back as a guest several times on this episode. I'm really excited that we actually got to speak about this meetup group. I feel like it's a major thing, and I'm 32 episodes in and I haven't dedicated an episode to actually talking about it. It's only referenced like this other thing. I'm hoping everyone gained value on it and is able to connect easier with the group. Is there anything else you'd like to add on this episode before we wrap it up? Yeah,
sure. I'll talk about that topic right there. Look, I get goosebumps literally talking about it right now. The Meetup group has really changed the way that I view e-commerce. It's really filled me up with joy, to be honest, being able to help other people go and on a Saturday spend 3 or 4 hours talking to someone who's trying to piece together their life because it fell apart and they need something like this, And I'll tell people, listen, all you need is YouTube and the Wizards of Amazon community. Our chat, everything that we do in Facebook and in Telegram and in the Meetup is just really all you need. Someone that you can talk to and you can bounce ideas off, in person, talking to each other rather than through a computer. The Meetup community is great. Everybody that's in there is like a family. It's crazy that we have had no bad actors.
Right.
It's been great because people value it, man. When they get there and they see how wholesome people are, how willing to help they are. And that goes for the ecom community overall. We really help each other. There's nobody really trying to scam each other. Sure, there'll be some people random here and there, but those people weed themselves out, and it's been great. I'm super.
You hit the nail on the head, something that I did not foresee, and that is the community is so close knit and it's grown so strong. And we're talking about years now of being together that when somebody comes in with bad intentions or ulterior motives and stuff like that,
they don't feel comfortable.
They naturally don't feel comfortable. Like they naturally just, I don't know, it's not natural selection is the wrong thing to say, but it's like they naturally just weed out.
True.
Yeah. Very powerful. Thank you, brother. Have an amazing day, an amazing life. I look forward to seeing you on a Zoom, Saturday, on our Zoom on Saturday. And you have an actual presentation coming up. I don't have the date in front of me. Do you happen to remember the date that you're presenting?
I don't. However, the presentation is on seller support, on Amazon seller support, contacting them by phone and how to not spend 3 hours on the phone with them to not get anything done.
Yeah, that sounds like an expensive course in and of itself. Not spend 3 hours.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand how seller support works. They don't understand how to not spend so much time on the phone with them and how to get your actual stuff done, case logs and the different teams all around the world, what time to call, all these things. We're going to talk about when we bring that topic up and do that Zoom.
Yeah, the event is Saturday, May 30th And there's already, between the Meetup event and everywhere else that I'm seeing, already 45 RSVPs. So it's probably going to be the first event that just blows out the seats on Zoom, man. Thank you again. We're doing the whole Cuban goodbye thing. You're amazing. I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for your time and for everything you do for the Meetup group, brother.
Thank you, man. Bye, everybody.
Liked what you heard and want to stay connected? Join our Facebook group or find me anywhere on social media at Wizards of Amazon, or text the word Amazon to 69922.